Okay, great. All right, so buying versus leasing. That's the focus here. Okay, if I'm looking at chapter 12, I'm looking at buying a residence. Okay, before we spoke about buying a business. Here I'm buying a residence. Okay, so which is better, buying or renting?
For me personally, I think it's buying.
Okay, why?
It's yours at the end of the day. You don't have to worry about your money. It's big or the house selling.
Okay, but what risks does that carry?
Then you're liable for all the repairs, the damage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's great owning property, but it's another thing maintaining it. Yes. Okay, good. So have you ever considered purchasing property? At this point in time, no, but you do want to in 10 years' time. Okay, so you will purchase property. Right, so is property an investment?
Yes, it is.
Of course it is. All right, so what do you get from an investment in property?
What do you get from investing in property?
Do I get income?
No, only if you rent it out, yes.
Yes, if I rent it out, I could get rental income. What else could I get?
It's rental income and also.
Will the value of the property change?
Yes, it will increase.
Yes, it will.
Unless it's around into our numbers.
Yes, correct. Okay, so most of the time, property should increase. Okay, you shouldn't really see property depreciate unless you've got exceptions, like, for example, society decays. Okay, societal pressure and the environment around that particular area gets worse, then that creates a that creates a problem. Okay, it depreciates your asset value. Okay, right. What are the risks? Two risks: operating and financial. Okay, what are the operating risks for owning property?
That's your repairs, man.
Yes.
Your broken pieces bursting and
good. Okay, damages, maintenance, all the repairs. What are the financial risks?
You're still paying the bond.
Good. There you go. You got it. Okay, credit, i.e., debt. Right, not being able to pay. That's a problem. Okay, so two risks associated with property in terms of ownership, operations, and financial risk. If I choose to lease or rent, which risk do I eliminate?
Operating.
Correct. Good. Okay. Right, so what are some of the motivations for buying property? Okay, you spoke about it earlier. Ownership is probably the biggest. Right, and what about family? Do you need to buy a big house if you don't have a family?
No, you don't.
No, you don't. Yeah, so what do you want? Do you want a family?
One day, yes.
How big do you want your family to be?
Just 4 people, 2 adults and 2 kids.
Okay, so are you going to need a house for that?
Yes.
Okay, right, so you're going to have to then buy property that will cater for those needs in terms of family. Do you want a swimming pool?
Well, yes, but it's a bit of a liability.
Okay, but do you want one?
Yes.
Okay, so again, that's something that you'd have to consider when buying property. Okay, what are some of the economic motivations?
You can sell a house at higher value than you bought it.
Correct. Okay, so it makes economic sense to buy property because you own an asset. Can I use the asset to get more loans, to get more finance?
Yes, you can.
Of course you can, because you've got collateral. Okay. Group orientated needs, what would that be?
It's like everybody in the house,
Besides that?
They got their car, house.
Besides that?
I'm not sure what you mean by group living.
Okay, so if we look at buying property, you're buying a part of a area. Okay, so group-oriented needs could be you want to become part of that community. Okay, so you just said you know your neighbor. Why? You're in the same community. Okay, do you know someone living in Sandton?
No.
Okay.
Only just family, but that's...
Well, obviously family and friends and stuff like that. But do you know anyone in Sandton unrelated to you?
No.
No, because you're not in that community. If you were, you would. Okay, but do you know lots of people in Springs?
Not really. I don't know much people in Springs, just my neighbours and that's it.
Okay, but you still know people in the community.
Yeah, I'm still doing that. I like it. We work with check and spot that.
Okay. Yes. All right. Good. Okay. So other motivations: upgrading, buying new, relocating, immigrating, or investments. Okay. People buy property for different reasons. Maybe to start a business. Maybe to relocate. Okay. What are some of the factors? So when choosing a house, okay, what do you want?
Must look nice, the rooms are spacious, the location is also not in a large area. Also,
Feature-wise,
what
how many rooms?
for one family household, there'll be three rooms, it's 3 bedrooms.
Do you want to study?
Yeah, study, lounge, dining room. We have a sunroom, which was once a veranda. These 2 or 3 garages, and maybe a little flat roof on the side.
Okay, good. So is that going to affect the price?
Yes, it will.
Yes. Are all houses priced the same?
No, they're not.
No. So you need to compare like for like. Okay, so 3 bedroom house with a 3 bedroom house. Okay, it would be unfair to compare different sized houses. Okay, and also we need to look at the same area. Okay. Right, so when looking at buying property, is it very easy to do?
Buying property, well, I forgot the funds, yes,
But is it very costly?
yes.
It can be. Okay, so there's a few things we need to look at here. Okay, registration, okay, the deeds, right, and the mortgage. Okay, if you're registering property in your name, what document identifies you as the owner? There's a special name for it. Is it here? No, part of it is here. It's called the title deed. Okay. All right. So what does that mean? That means you own that particular asset. Okay. So title deed is your entitlement to that asset's, let's say, value or use. Okay. What is a mortgage? Correct. It's the debt. It's the credit. Okay. So do you agree there's 2 contracts here? There's one in terms of you being the owner of the property, okay, which needs to be registered in your name, and the deed needs to be lodged at the deed office. And then a mortgage is what? The loan, because you need to finance that asset. Okay, so you've got 2 separate contracts here. One in terms of property being in your ownership, in your name in terms of ownership, and the other being the financing that would have been secured by the loan, okay, in terms of the bank. Right, so the role of a conveyancer. What does a conveyancer do? Well, they put the contract into effect. Okay, the seller nominates the conveyancer. Okay, so the conveyancer is just a fancy word for the lawyer that's associated with property and how to transfer one property into one person's property into another person's name. Okay, cancellation of existing bond and the registration of a new bond is managed by the conveyancer and the financial institution. Okay, they manage that process. What does an estate agent do?
Take their commission as well, right?
So what do they actually do? They're marketers, basically. Okay, they're selling houses, right? Inventory to an estate agent would be property, houses. Okay, they need to get more houses to sell to their consumers. Okay, good. What is occupational rent? Any idea?
That's money you pay to your landlord.
When?
When you occupy the house and you stay in it.
When? You still haven't received the title deed. Okay, so you're still waiting for them to register the property in your name. So whose name is the property in? The seller's. So occupational rent is paying the seller rent for using the property, and it hasn't been transferred from their name to your name.
It's a bit of unfair though, because are you paying
Well,
rent to something you buy?
True, but if there's a delay in the process and it takes longer than expected, you're going to have it, unfortunately. Okay, but you can have certain terms and conditions in place that can maybe avoid occupational rent. That's a possibility.
Maybe the owner says it's fine, you stay for free, I'm giving money back.
Well, they're not going to allow you to stay for free, but maybe they'll say, well, you can move in only on this date, or whatever the case might be. Right.
So there's not that risk of being stripped of household open.
What do you mean?
You know, in old farmhouse they get abandoned.
Oh, you mean stripped, as in people just coming in and taking? Yeah, possibly.
That's what happens. They abandon these farmhouses. A month later, it's just the foundation.
Okay. All right. So costs. We spoke about certain important costs in terms of registration, and that was a deed. Okay. Remember conveyancer. What costs are we going to have with property? So have a look. Buying property, simple or difficult?
It's simple.
Well, it's quite complicated because there's so much to consider.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so when buying property, do I pay taxes? Yes, I do. And that's called a transfer duty. Right, so tax on buying property is what? Transfer duty. Who pays it? The buyer or the seller? The buyer.
The buyer buys the house and pays the price.
If you're buying property, you have to pay the transfer duty. Okay. Conveyancer costs. Obviously, the conveyancer needs to be part of the transaction to transfer property from one person to another. Okay. Conveyancing costs is what we spoke about in terms of the conveyancer. Estate agent commission. Okay. Again, who would pay that?
The seller.
Well, the seller would pay it, but it will be part of the price of the
House.
property. Yeah. Okay, it's normally included. Okay, rate of taxes you need to consider.
The selling one as well is the conveyancing will also be like the seller.
The conveyancer, no, you would pay the conveyancing
And the
fee.
buyer.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. Rate and taxes?
It'll be
City of Joburg.
city charter gets so that'll be the seller that's paid off.
No, the buyer, the person buying the house. Well, okay, it depends on whether you want the clearance certificate. If you want a clearance certificate, the seller would have to pay for that because everything needs to be cleared before the transfer of property takes place. Okay, but if you're in the actual property and you're using it for your own benefit, you pay the rate and taxes. Okay, deed office registration costs, valuation costs, moving expenses, installation costs, and there could be other costs as well. All right, here are some other costs, but now this is for what? Is this the property? No. This is the home loan. So now you, as the buyer, are going to have to secure finance to buy the property. Okay, and that doesn't come free. You're going to have to pay initiation fee, admin fees, installments, registration costs, inspection fees, interest, commission, insurance costs. Okay, in order to secure what? Your loan, the financing to buy the property. Okay. So now you might be thinking, well, maybe let's rather rent. Okay, we'll debate that next week. Okay, we'll debate that next week in terms of which is better, buying versus renting, and we'll discuss pros and cons to both. Okay, so maybe think about some of those for next week and we can discuss them. It's a lot. Okay. All right, just a few things to consider in terms of the estate agent. Right, the textbook's very good. They give you a checklist in terms of what you should be asking in terms of the estate agent and what should they be doing to assist you with your purchase of a property. Right, obviously estate agents are regulated, so there's an estate agency board. Okay, obviously they need to be professional. There needs to be a certain level of ethical, let's say, standards that need to be in place, and obviously commission is going to be charged on the sale of an asset, okay, being property in this case. Right, sometimes they talk about a sole mandate. What is a sole mandate? It's when one estate agent is appointed to exclusively sell that particular asset for a period of time. Okay, so no one else will be able to sell that property if it's a sole mandate. Okay, that estate agent has sole mandate or rights to sell that property, okay, for the seller.
The one house on the road now, I'm staying is uncle seller again. I used to know the person who went from the house, now the house to sell.
So are they still living in there?
No, the previous person I know sold to the new owner, now the new owner sold.
Oh, now the new owner is selling. Okay, but they're still living in that house.
Yeah, not the people I knew, the new people.
You're the new people, obviously.
Yeah,
so what's wrong with the property then? There must be something wrong with it.
It must be, because they haven't only been there 5 or 6 years.
Okay. See, so maybe it's just one of those houses that get turned over a lot. Perhaps.
Maybe it's haunted.
Maybe. All right.
I think my neighbour's house was robbed, it's a bit haunted.
Sure.
One lady told me she had a dream there one day. and that dream goes to something because there was a kind of robbed and murdered in the house.
Yeah, no,
And
that
he
doesn't
crawled
sound good.
into one room. And
Shit, that doesn't
told
sound
me,
good.
he told me exactly what I later found out.
Shit, that sounds very, that sounds very, very weird.
Yeah.
Okay, supernatural stuff there, yeah.
It could be haunted unless. Yeah.
Do you believe in that stuff?
Not really, but
Okay. Would you stay in that house?
I wouldn't mind.
Okay.
It's happened. It's long ago. It's happened.
Yeah.
Maybe 2004 or 5.
So would you stay in a house that you knew a murder took place? Because that's what you're saying.
I don't think so.
That's what you're saying.
I don't want to
You're
do
saying you wouldn't mind staying in that house.
I wouldn't mind, but it's not preferable.
Okay, so now you're changing your mind.
Sorry, man, I'm changing my mind backwards and
Because okay, let's say this, Robert. Okay, let's say you found out, you knew that a murder took. So, for example, Oscar Pistorius, he shot Reeva Steenkamp in the bathroom. Okay, everyone knows which property that is, right? So, would you buy that property, having known that someone was shot and killed in that particular house?
I wouldn't think it. To be straightforward, I wouldn't. I'm thinking about it now.
Okay.
There's always that stigma up there, ghosts or something like that.
Exactly. Well, but you said you don't believe about ghosts and
I don't. But
things like that.
People, I want to see it to believe it. I don't really experience it.
Okay. Yeah, because that's an interesting question. Would you buy a property, a house, if you knew someone was murdered or killed in it?
Not really, no.
Okay.
I'm being straightforward. I'm changing my mind quite often, but my mind is made up of different houses.
Okay. All right. So
Would you buy houses wanted or someone murdered?
if you knew about it, I wouldn't. Yeah. But if you don't know about it, that's a problem. Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most times people keep it hush.
See, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so where do I raise capital for buying property? You can use your own savings, cash, to pay the deposit. You can have part cash and then the mortgage. You can have joint property rights or 100% bond as well. Okay, in today's world, banks don't often give 100% mortgage bond any longer. The reason for that is risk. Okay, they want you to put down some sort of deposit after the crisis, yes. Okay, financial intermediaries will give you loans, and so will different sources of or different financial intermediaries. Okay, so these are some of the practical steps to buying property. Okay, I've taken this from your textbook. They give you massive lists of questions and things to consider. Okay, so I want to ask you some of these. How much do you think you can afford in terms of buying property? Let's say this is 10 years later. Okay, you want to buy property in 10 years. So how much do you want to spend to buy property?
I think $1 million max.
Okay, so $1 million max you'd spend on buying property. Right. Would you qualify for that 1 million rand?
Well, if I'm only on good income, I should be able to.
Okay. What would your household budget be? So just on average, every million that you need to finance in terms of a loan costs roughly 10,000. Okay, per month. Roughly in terms of costs. Okay, in terms of interest rates. Okay, so if you want to take out a 1 million rand loan from the bank, you're going to end up paying around 10,000 rand a month. That's the general guide that people use.
To pay like a mortgage off.
Yes. Okay. All right. So in terms of house hunting, are you going to be house hunting a lot?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Are you the type of person that wants to see lots and lots of houses?
Yes, to make my decision. Yes.
Okay. And what do you base the decision on?
Space and size.
Okay. Good.
And also whatever's up outside. It's good enough.
All right. Would you consider building or buying?
Fine.
Why?
It's too much expensive. Plus.
But don't you want to build your dream house? You could make it the way you want it.
That's also good, yeah.
Okay, so wouldn't you consider that?
Not really, no.
You wouldn't.
It's not a hassle.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a hassle that gets me. It's like all these checks you have to do and all that.
Okay. So you'd prefer just to buy?
Yeah, and also these unforeseen expenses like
Sure.
dodgy more waterfalls down.
All right. Hopefully you don't get dodgy people to build your house,
I mean,
but
it's what an accident. Maybe
Sure.
They do something stupid.
Sure.
They get to put the wires in. Draw
Yes.
holes in the walls again.
Of course. Okay, good. That's a good point.
That's the only reason I stopped them. I'm not saying I want to hire cheap dodgy
Sure.
people. It's always the first.
Of course. Okay. And then what about practical steps? Is there a particular estate agency that you're going to be using?
Or what is my favorite? I haven't looked at them really.
But does a name pop to mind?
Unmet or
Okay.
it's other ones, Remax. I think it's Remax.
Okay. Yes. All right. Okay. So in terms of show days. Okay, when would you go and look at the houses?
Whenever I want to, I'll just phone the place and go look.
Okay, but when should you go? Should you go when people are there, or should you go when people aren't there?
When people aren't there, it's like the privacy to look around each of the rooms if you have to look at the light fittings.
Okay.
Just look at the small things and also the big things.
All right, good.
Because there was a lot of people there, they're like rushing on wanting to go to next room.
Yes. Okay, that's good. So, how many houses have you stayed in your lifetime? Have you guys moved around a lot or not?
When I was a small kid, before 4 years old, my parents used to rent 3 different houses. But they owned this one in the meantime, so they rented it out.
So you used to live in 3 different houses.
No, what happened was my parents bought this house we started staying in 1990, but then they had to work this down, so they ended up having to rent houses along. As they were sold, they would come to the next one, and to the next one.
Hold on, I don't understand. Start again.
My parents bought this house we staying in and rented it out for 3 to 4 years.
Okay, so you bought this house that you're staying in, and you rented this house out.
That was rented out, yes.
Yeah, so where did you guys stay when you were renting that one out?
My father stayed in Cobblestone, so we went and rented houses there.
Oh, okay, I understand. So then you were renting houses and places in different areas until this was paid for, and then you stayed here.
No, it wasn't that.
Oh.
I'm not saying myself very well. Because you had to work there, so the company also paid the rent.
Oh, okay.
You know, we couldn't stay in this house.
Sure, because you're renting it out.
Renting it out. And then as that house that my father rented was sold, we went to the next house and looked at this house.
Alright, okay, I
He
understand.
came back to spring this, and then he got back and he was still paying off the mortgage.
Okay, that's fine, I understand. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
That house is, I'm showing a picture of the house I'm staying at.
Okay.
It's a real good big house.
Alright. So, do you have a picture? We can maybe see it just now before we leave.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll show Google Earth, baby.
Oh, alright.
Because I don't have pictures of the front. I've got pictures on my phone.
Maybe take a photo of it and bring it to me tomorrow, rather. Okay, it's always better to see it live, because Google might not always be very update.
I know, but
Okay.
I'll show it like in 2009, I think.
Okay.
It's still
The same.
it's
Alright.
still on trees, guys.
Bring it tomorrow then, we can have a look. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, the last bit is just assets, okay, in terms of property. Is property considered an asset?
Yes.
Of course it is. And do we want assets?
Yes.
Yes, we do. Okay, and then obviously we can raise finance from different places, and the cost is the biggest thing to consider here because it can be very costly to purchase.